The guys are behind me getting their gear in order and preparing themselves for a 4-day street and track test that's going to put our Class of bikes through their paces. Due to a recent leg injury, I'm not participating in this year's test. That's a bummer for me, but it means that I'm available to walk you guys through the process and show you how the world's oldest motorcycle publication picks a winner.
This is the cream of the crop. Our annual Class of test brings together the most powerful and technologically advanced production sport bikes on the planet. It's our biggest and best test of the year, but it starts just like any other ride, with bikes rolling out of the garage. The first segment of our test is a 200-mile street ride, covering everything from city streets to freeways to twisty mountain roads, all in an effort to assess these bikes' comfort and rideability.
Riding the bikes in the street is a huge part of our evaluation process because in reality, that's where these bikes are going to spend most of their time. So I'm pretty curious to see how these hard-edged sport bikes are stacking up on the street. So let's talk to Zach and Bradley and get their impressions. Guys, you've logged a couple hundred miles on these bikes on the highway and in the canyons. I'm pretty familiar with these motorcycles, but tell me some stuff I might not already know.
Well, I really like the KTM. It's got this super aggressive look, but it's actually pretty comfortable. You got adjustable subframe. You can raise or lower the clip-ons. Same thing with the rear sets. So you can kind of tailor it to your preferences, and you can't argue with that engine too. It's got a ton of low-end power, which is great around town.
Super tractable V-twin.
Yep.
So that's surprising in that it's a good street bike. We already know that the ZX-10 and the HP4, the S1000R are awesome street bikes. But let's talk about some stuff that might not be so awesome on the street. I'm guessing the F4RR and the Panigale probably not too comfortable.
Yep, agreed. The MV Agusta definitely wins the crown for least comfortable street bike, I think. It's a high seat, even higher foot pegs, which are adjustable, but doesn't help that much for me. And the bars are low, it vibrates like crazy, and the throttle response is kind of finicky. Agreed. A lot of power, but you can't really use it on the street anyway. So.
Okay, and how about the Panigale? Last year that thing really disappointed us on the street. Is it any better this year?
I'd say it's actually worse street bike than it was before. And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, it's got that lighter crank, which I think will help out at the racetrack, but it makes it kind of difficult to leave a stoplight. And they've got that new seat for this year, which is intended to provide more feel at the racetrack. But,
which is to say it's harder.
Yes.
Never a good thing in the street.
Yeah, and still, it's not quite as hot as it was before. They've got that new heat shield, but it still gets pretty warm around town.
All right.
Agreed. For me, the biggest surprise is the RSV4, which I remember being kind of a crummy street bike, but especially coming from the Panigale or the MV, it's really pretty comfortable. It fits taller guys like Bradley and myself, and if it wasn't for that super tall gearing, it would be one of my favorite street bikes, I think.
Yeah, same for me.
Yep.
Right on. Well, good information so far. You're sitting here with 800 horsepower worth of motorcycles, so it's time for you to head to the track. I think opinions might change a little bit once you spin some laps.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
With a long way to go before the end of the day, the guys have to beat feet to the racetrack. We'll be up early tomorrow to kick off 2 days of track testing.
So what we're doing now is Top Gear roll-on tests. It's a measurement of how long it takes the bike to accelerate from 60 to 80 miles an hour in 6th gear. So it's a really good indication of the bike's acceleration potential out in the real world, like on the freeway when you're going to pass a semi or something. That RSV4's got crazy tall gearing, but it's putting down the fastest 60 to 80 mile times. And that's just an indication of how much mid-range torque that bike has. And man, does it sound good. F4, huh?
Yeah.
Gave us a bit of trouble last year.
Yes. A malignant clutch tumor, I believe we called it.
The bucking bronco of bikes.
See how it goes.
Yep. Sounds delicious. Dude, it just like sent 3 puffs of smoke off the back tire. I'm so glad you're doing that and not me. That was such a pain in the ass last year.
What a mess.
The F4 is a phenomenal bike. I mean, that thing's got so much power, so much character, but on the drag strip, it's just a a total mess. I mean, whatever's wrong with that clutch, it just does not allow you to get a good start, which, as everyone knows, is the key to a good quarter-mile time. Zach just clicked off a 9.91 second quarter mile at 145.25 miles an hour. That's faster than a Bugatti Veyron. Quarter mile times are fun, but you can only learn so much riding a bike in a straight line. So, Zach, let's take these things to the track, man. Wrap it up. Time to put some race rubber on them.
The racetrack is where we do the stuff that would get us arrested on the street. But before we can head on track, we need to swap tires so all the bikes are on equal footing. Bridgestone was kind enough to brave the desert and spoon on their Battle Axe R10 race tires. Now, after performance testing, let's see where we stand. The BMW dominates with 177 horsepower and posted a 9.82 second quarter mile time, faster than $1 million supercar. KTM's RC8R has the least horsepower but the most torque, which helped it get the quickest 60 to 80 roll-on time. How will this straight line performance translate on the racetrack? Let's find out. Lap times are the basic metric for track testing. Handling, acceleration, grip, cornering stability, brakes, and many other factors are what we aim to explore during this portion of the test.
Yo, man. So
That's a fun motorcycle.
Yeah, this V4 is one of our favorite engines. How does it compare to like the twins and the inlines?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think the best thing about this bike, it doesn't ever feel like, through the rev range, it doesn't ever really feel flat.
Our growling, rumbling, two-time Class Sub winner is back for 2013 with a lower price tag, second generation APRC electronics, ABS, and a bigger tank. After all, when you're cranking out 153 horsepower, you need a lot of gas.
Every lap you ride this thing, it gets more and more fun. You just kind of get more comfortable on it.
Yep, it's one of my favorites, man. I'm bummed I'm not out there riding it now.
As the flagship superbikes for the most forward-thinking motorcycle companies in the world, this is the cutting edge. All of these bikes, except the KTM, are equipped with electronic rider aids, some more than others. Kawasaki's ZX-10R, for example, has ABS, basic power modes, and 3 levels of traction control. At the other end of the spectrum is BMW's HP4, which has every type of electronic rider aid available. But surely, some systems will work better than others.
Mandango. Woo! This is one of those bikes that last year we were impressed with it, but we were only impressed with it because we had really low expectations, and we said it really needed an update. Can you tell the difference? Does it feel any different?
Not really.
No? Doing the same stuff?
I mean, I feel like it's impressive for all the same reasons and it's disappointing for all the same reasons.
The MV Agusta F4RR has an updated engine, a new ECU, and electronically adjustable suspension.
The engine dynamic is much better, so when the power comes on, it's a little bit easier to deal with, but the ride-by-wire throttle is really light, and it makes throttle modulation difficult, and when TC engages, it engages really abruptly, so it's difficult to tell exactly what to expect.
It fights itself.
Kawasaki's ZX-10R is the only competitor from Japan, and amongst these high-priced European brands, it's the least expensive option. For this year, the bike is equipped with ABS and an electronic steering damper, as well as the standard KTRC and ride mode package.
What are your impressions?
I mean, don't you think that the fact that we're even talking about it next to $25,000 and $30,000 bikes
Literally next to them.
says something?
I mean, it really says a lot about this bike that we included. It was the winner of our class of 2012 Japanese shootout, and we included it in the European shootout because it really does stack up. I mean, it goes fast, it's got traction control, it's got ABS, it's got ride modes. Tires are torched, man. I mean, you've turned 30 laps on this rear, so is the KTRC working? Is it letting you, get the most out of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's the same as it's ever been. It's just seamless, linear, easy to use.
Hanging it out there out of the corner?
Yeah, it's making me feel like a superstar, that's
Dude,
for sure.
it does. There's no doubt about it. Traction control makes you feel like a hero, and this is a good system.
I mean, I think it's a good package for any price, much less the least by far.
Yep. Half as much as our most expensive bike.
Yep.
Another notable contender at about the same price as the Kawasaki is the KTM RC8R. This is a no-nonsense superbike.
I definitely am a fan of this bike. I think a lot of it is just because it's so unintimidating to ride. I mean, it doesn't have the peak power numbers that the BMW or the MV have, but it's still a lot of fun. Makes real tractable power, so you can kind of put the power down real nicely coming out of the corner.
And this is the only analog bike here. It doesn't have a quick shifter, doesn't have traction control, doesn't have electronic anything. I mean, it's fuel injected, but beyond that, it's just your analog, big bore super bike.
I still like it. I still think it's a great motorcycle. I think I could go buy one of these and have a ton of fun at any track day. I know it's a comfortable motorcycle on the street. Just a really easy motorcycle to ride, and at the same time, it's a lot of fun to ride, you know?
Cool.
Doesn't have that in-your-face power, but it gets the job done, no doubt.
Then there's the highly anticipated Panigale R, a $30,000 homologation special built as a platform for Ducati's World Superbike racing program.
I think it's definitely worth the extra money.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a better motorcycle.
The Panigale R has titanium connecting rods, a lighter crank, and shorter gearing, all to enable it to rev up quicker. It's got a higher redline than before, and as always, it's outfitted with an overwhelming array of electronic features. That includes traction control, variable engine braking, forged wheels, an iPhone-like dash, and electronically adjustable Olin suspension.
And I think another big thing is just how light it feels.
Well, it is the lightest bike here. Wet weight was 431 pounds, which is, I mean, that's 600 territory.
Yeah.
The Panigale R worked better on track than the S we tested last year, but the bike that's made the biggest transformation is the BMW.
I mean, it's just an absolute monster anytime you open the throttle.
BMW's HP4 adds to the excellent S1000RR platform with dynamic damping control suspension, forged aluminum wheels, updated traction control, and an Akrapovic exhaust.
I mean, to think this is the same bike that we rode on the street yesterday,
Without having to actually change anything.
it's pretty amazing. Just absolutely perfect. I mean, really no complaints.
The MV and the Panigale both have electronically adjustable suspension, but the HP4 is the only bike that adjusts the damping automatically up to 100 times per second all the time. This is such a groundbreaking and significant machine that we've already dedicated an entire episode to it. And now that it's alongside some competition, the HP4's performance is even more impressive. An expanded DTC system offers 15 levels of intervention compared to the S1000RR's 4. That adjustability allows riders to fine-tune TC to suit skills, tires, and conditions. It's a highly functional and extremely adjustable setup. After 4 days of testing, 18 sets of race tires, and literally hundreds of laps, it's time to make a decision and pick our Class of 2013 valedictorian. All of these machines are impressive, but only one bike will graduate with the highest honors. The first bike to go is the MV Agusta. The update helps, but not enough to keep up with this company. This is a class where electronics are increasingly important, and as well as it works, the KTM just doesn't stack up. The CX-10R is still the best bike from Japan, offering basic electronics at a basic price. But amongst this crowd, it lacks charisma and that knife-edge feel that we demand in a superbike. And then there were three. The Ducati Panigale R, the Aprilia RSV4 Factory, and the BMW HP4. Ducati's racing pedigree is unquestionable, but the fact is the Panigale doesn't do anything better than the Aprilia or the BMW, and it costs thousands of dollars more. If vanity is a priority, pick the Panigale, but if you're after a well-rounded superbike, try something else. For example, the RSV4 or the HP4. Aprilia's V4 superbike has won this competition twice over, impressing testers with huge power, telepathic handling, world-class electronics, and an absolutely intoxicating exhaust note. It was hard to make a decision between these two bikes, but we ultimately went with the HP4. It is such an incredible street bike and unbelievably fast on the track. This is the sharpest point of the cutting edge, the future of motorcycle technology. If we could only pick one bike for our garage, we'd pick the BMW HP4, our Class of 2013 winner.